Welcome to Soul Stories, a channel that brings you heartfelt, meaningful tales that touch the soul. If you love stories like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss any videos. Chapter 1. The Fateful Encounter. Christmas season has returned to New York. The glamorous city is bathed in the dazzling lights of decorations, the sound of bells ringing, and snow covering every corner. People walk hand in hand through sparkling streets, enjoying the joy of the festive season. But on the top floor of a luxurious building, Ethan, a young and successful millionaire, stands silently, gazing at the city from afar, his heart weighed down with loneliness. Ethan has everything: wealth, fame, and the admiration of countless people. Lavish parties, women surrounding him. Yet deep inside, Ethan knows he is missing something essential: true love. In his heart, the image of a little girl who changed his life on a Christmas night years ago keeps appearing. Back then, Ethan was just a homeless boy, freezing in the dark corners of Central Park. Charlotte, a little girl with a radiant smile, approached him, handed him a Christmas gift bag, and offered him words of encouragement. "Don't give up, everything will get better." From that moment, Ethan vowed never to forget her, and that one day he would find Charlotte again. For many years he had quietly searched, but there was no clue about her except for the faint memory of her bright, innocent eyes, until one day. At the largest charity auction of the year in New York, where Ethan was one of the main sponsors, he happened to see a familiar face. It was Charlotte, but she was no longer the graceful heiress from a wealthy family. After a family tragedy, her father passed away in a financial scandal, her mother fell gravely ill, and their fortune was lost. Charlotte was now living a completely different life. Now she worked humbly in the arts and participated in community projects. Though she tried to keep smiling, her eyes revealed a deep sadness. Ethan stood frozen, watching from a distance, his heart suddenly tightening. He had found the little girl from years ago, but she was no longer the Charlotte of his memories. And perhaps he was no longer the boy she once saved. Stay tuned to see what happens next. Leave us a comment about which city you're watching this story from. Share your thoughts and don't forget to hit the like button. Chapter 2. A Glimpse into the Past. Ethan sat in his quiet room, the light from the Christmas tree by the window reflecting on his face. Images of Charlotte filled his mind, pulling him back to the memory of that fateful Christmas night. A memory he would never forget. At the time, Ethan was only 10 years old, a homeless boy wandering the freezing streets of New York. That Christmas night, the city was dazzling with festive lights, but to Ethan, it was an unattainable world he didn't belong to. The cold wind pierced through the tattered jacket he wore. Curled up in a dark corner of Central Park, his stomach growled in hunger, and his body shivered from the bitter cold. He had been sitting there for hours, watching happy families walk by, hand in hand, exchanging gifts and smiles. Ethan didn't cry. He was used to the loneliness. But deep within, a faint glimmer of hope still flickered. Though on that harsh winter night, even that hope seemed to be fading. Then suddenly, the headlights of a limousine illuminated the park corner where he sat. Ethan squinted against the bright light as the car stopped not far away, and its door opened. Out stepped a little girl, around 8 years old, wrapped in a warm fur coat. Ethan stared at her, astonished, as she approached with a large gift bag in hand. His heart seemed to skip a beat. He couldn't fathom why a girl from such apparent wealth would venture into this dark corner. "Hi there," the girl said, her voice soft and gentle. Ethan didn't respond, his wary eyes scanning her, a mixture of caution and curiosity. The girl placed the gift bag in front of him. "Here's some food, a scarf, and a few other things. I hope this helps keep you warm." Ethan remained silent, unsure of how to react. He had never experienced such kindness from a stranger, especially someone like her. The girl bent down, gently wrapping the scarf around his neck. That small gesture brought tears to his eyes, which he struggled to hold back. "Don't give up," she said, her gaze steady and encouraging. "Everything will get better." Her words, though simple, ignited a small flame in Ethan's heart, dispelling the darkness that enveloped him. He nodded slightly, his voice trembling. "Thank you. Thank you so much." The girl smiled, a smile that made the freezing winter night feel warm. She stood up, waved goodbye, and returned to the car. Ethan watched as the car's lights faded into the distance, leaving him with the gift bag in his hands and a renewed sense of hope in his heart. That night, Ethan felt more than the warmth of the scarf or the nourishment from the food. He felt the kindness of a stranger, a little girl who had not only saved him from hunger and cold, but also lifted him from the abyss of despair. From that moment, Ethan vowed to change his life. He promised himself he would never give up and would do whatever it took to rise above his circumstances. Most importantly, he swore that one day he would find that girl again, not just to thank her, but to show her that her kindness had transformed his life forever. The words, "Everything will get better," became a guiding light for Ethan during his toughest times. Starting with small jobs, he saved every penny to buy books and teach himself. On freezing nights, when everything seemed hopeless, her words echoed in his mind, pushing him to persevere. At 16, Ethan got his first opportunity working at an electronics repair shop, where he learned valuable skills. His determination and ambition earned him a scholarship to a community college, where he studied information technology. While juggling work and studies, he began developing small software projects, facing countless failures but refusing to give up. By 24, Ethan founded his first startup. The journey was fraught with challenges, limited funds, intense competition, and moments of creative exhaustion. But every time he felt like giving up, he remembered Charlotte's encouraging eyes and her words of hope. Those memories gave him the strength to keep going. Through relentless effort, Ethan's company eventually gained significant success, attracting investors and being acquired by a major corporation. By 28, Ethan officially became a millionaire. Despite his wealth, Ethan never forgot his past. He established a charitable foundation to help homeless children, providing them with the opportunities he once wished for. Now, as he gazes out at the city's shimmering lights, Ethan knows that all his achievements stem from that fateful Christmas night and from the little girl who saved him with her kindness. With a heart full of gratitude and longing, Ethan resolves to find Charlotte again, not just to thank her, but to tell her that she is the light that forever changed his life. Chapter 3. Charlotte's Heartbreak. Ethan was overwhelmed with emotion when he finally saw Charlotte again after so many years. However, his joy was soon replaced by heartbreak. Charlotte had a boyfriend. Through quiet observations, Ethan discovered that the man by her side was Daniel, a young and successful businessman. Yet Ethan noticed that Daniel's eyes lacked genuine warmth whenever he looked at Charlotte. Ethan could only silently hope for her happiness. Though his heart ached, he believed the most important thing was for the girl who had saved him years ago to find true joy. But fate seemed to have another trial in store for Charlotte. One evening, as Ethan was leaving his office, he spotted Daniel entering a luxurious restaurant with another woman. The two were openly affectionate, and Daniel even embraced the woman in the middle of the restaurant lobby. Ethan froze, stunned by the sight. He realized that Daniel was not truly committed to Charlotte. Ethan wrestled with whether to tell her or not. After much deliberation, he decided to remain silent, trusting that the truth would eventually reveal itself. It wasn't long before Charlotte discovered Daniel's infidelity. She accidentally saw flirtatious messages between him and another woman on his phone. Her heart shattered. Following a heated argument, Charlotte ended the relationship. Though she tried to appear strong, the pain inside her was unbearable. Charlotte spiraled into a dark period of her life. Not only did she bear the weight of financial burdens, caring for her ailing mother and managing the debts left by her family's downfall, but she also endured the sting of heartbreak. She withdrew into herself, refusing to rely on anyone or show vulnerability. From a distance, Ethan saw Charlotte's struggles, and it tore him apart. He couldn't stand idly by any longer. Ethan decided to approach her, not as a wealthy man, but as a friend who wanted to be there for her. At a small cafe near Charlotte's workplace, Ethan walked in and noticed her sitting alone by the window. Her eyes gazed outward, lost in thought, as if battling her inner sorrows. Taking a deep breath, Ethan gathered his courage and approached her. "Excuse me, are you Charlotte?" he asked, his voice warm but tinged with nervousness. Charlotte looked up, her eyes briefly showing surprise. She studied him for a moment, trying to recall. "Yes. And you are?" Ethan smiled, hiding a flicker of disappointment that she didn't recognize him. I'm Ethan. We met at the charity auction recently. Charlotte nodded lightly, still not entirely remembering. Ah, yes, nice to see you again, Ethan. Are you sitting alone? Would it be okay if I join you? Ethan sat across from her, refraining from probing questions. Instead, he steered the conversation toward light-hearted topics. At first, Charlotte hesitated at his kindness. She wasn't used to leaning on anyone and feared further heartbreak, but Ethan was patient. He listened to her, shared humorous anecdotes, and sometimes simply sat quietly, giving her a sense of safety. Gradually, Charlotte began to open up. Ethan became more than just someone who lifted her loneliness. He was a confidant for her deepest, unspoken pain. He didn't judge, pity, or pressure her. He simply stood by her. Ethan also found subtle ways to support Charlotte's work. Learning that she was involved in a small art project but lacked resources, he secretly funded it through a charitable organization. When the project succeeded, Charlotte rediscovered a spark of motivation she thought she had lost. Ethan's sincerity and patience slowly transformed Charlotte. She began to see that Ethan was unlike any other man she had known. In him, she found warmth, trust, and a renewed sense of hope. As she moved past her old wounds, a new feeling began to take root within her, a feeling she never thought she could experience again. Ethan's patient companionship not only helped Charlotte rise from her setbacks, but also laid the foundation for a unique relationship. A connection that grew slowly, deeply, and genuinely, unlike anything they had ever experienced before. Chapter 4. Companionship and Blossoming Love. As time went on, Charlotte and Ethan grew closer. Initially, their encounters were casual, chats at their usual cafe or brief conversations after work. But gradually, Ethan began seeking opportunities to spend more time with Charlotte. He never rushed her, nor pressured her to open up, instead patiently building a relationship rooted in trust and understanding. In their conversations, both started to open up. Charlotte shared her struggles after her family's downfall. She spoke about the hard times following her father's death, her mother's illness, and the loss of her family's fortune. She admitted how these events left scars and how her dream of becoming an artist was abandoned under the weight of financial responsibilities. Ethan listened without judgment, offering her his undivided attention. When she finished, he shared his own story, his childhood of wandering the streets, the loneliness, and the hardships he had endured. Though he refrained from mentioning Charlotte's role in his past, his stories revealed the depth of his struggles. You know, Ethan said, gazing into the distance, there was a time when I thought I'd never escape the darkness, but someone made me believe that things would get better, and I worked hard to make that a reality. Charlotte smiled softly. That person must have been very special. Very special, Ethan replied, his eyes glowing with warmth. Ethan constantly looked for ways to help Charlotte rediscover herself. One day he asked her, Charlotte, if you didn't have to worry about work, money, or responsibilities, what would you want to do? Charlotte hesitated. I think I'd want to paint again. Art was my passion, but now, why not try again? Ethan interrupted, his eyes filled with encouragement. I'm not sure if I still have what it takes, she replied, her voice faltering. Ethan gave her a reassuring smile. Don't doubt yourself. Just start. Do it not for anyone else, but for yourself. A few days later, Ethan secretly gifted Charlotte a set of paints. Instead of handing it to her directly, he left it at their usual cafe with a note. Let yourself freely express your emotions. I believe you can do it. Charlotte was deeply moved by his thoughtfulness. She began spending her evenings painting again. At first, her brushstrokes were hesitant, but gradually the familiarity of her passion returned. She started painting the things she loved, the sparkling streets of New York, her mother's smile, and serene mornings with a coffee cup by the window. With Ethan's constant encouragement, Charlotte slowly regained her confidence. She even began participating in small art events, and her work started gaining attention from others. Through their growing bond, Charlotte realized Ethan was unlike any man she had ever known. He was not only strong and successful, but also compassionate and deeply understanding. He listened with full attention, never making her feel small or weak. Charlotte began to see that her feelings for Ethan extended beyond gratitude for his support. He made her feel safe and cherished in a way she hadn't thought possible. Though she initially feared opening her heart, Ethan's patience and sincerity gradually dissolved those fears. For Ethan, his feelings for Charlotte transcended the memory of their past connection. She was no longer just the little girl from years ago. She was now a resilient, strong, and loving woman who inspired him in ways he couldn't fully explain. One evening, while walking together in the park, Charlotte stopped and turned to Ethan. "Ethan, I never thought I could rise again after everything that happened. But because of you, I've started believing in myself again." Ethan looked into her eyes, his gaze filled with gentleness. "Charlotte, I didn't do anything. You found yourself again. I was just lucky to walk this journey with you." From that moment, words were no longer necessary to express their feelings. Their actions, glances, and quiet understanding said it all. Ethan knew he loved Charlotte, but he didn't rush to confess. He wanted to be sure she was ready to embrace new love after all she had endured. Charlotte, though she hadn't said it aloud, began to recognize her growing feelings for Ethan. She no longer avoided his closeness. Instead, she found herself looking forward to their time together. Their love wasn't loud or dramatic. It was deep and healing. It was the connection of two souls, both scarred by the past, finding solace and strength in each other. Ethan didn't just help Charlotte rise from her pain. He gave her hope for a brighter future, a future they would walk toward together. Chapter 5. A Christmas Proposal. Christmas had arrived once again, bringing with it the festive glow of twinkling lights, the chiming of bells, and chilly winds carrying soft snowflakes. New York City shimmered like a jewel, but for Ethan, this was the most important night of his life. He had been waiting for this moment for years, and now everything was finally ready. Ethan planned a special meeting at Central Park, the very place where fate had brought them together on a Christmas night so many years ago. He chose the exact tree where a homeless boy once sat, shivering in the cold. With meticulous care, Ethan prepared every detail. A bench was draped with a warm blanket, surrounded by small lanterns casting a soft golden glow. Beneath the tree, he placed a carefully wrapped gift box and a handwritten card. When everything was set, Ethan invited Charlotte, under the pretense of spending a special evening with her on Christmas night. Charlotte arrived in a light blue coat, her hair gently falling over her rosy cheeks, kissed by the cold. Ethan took her hand, leading her along the snow-dusted paths. When they reached the tree, Charlotte paused, her eyes lighting up with surprise. "Ethan, what's all this? It's beautiful," she said, her voice filled with wonder. Ethan smiled warmly, his eyes reflecting the glow of the lanterns. He gently guided her to the bench and wrapped a blanket around her shoulders to keep her warm. "Charlotte, there's something I've been keeping from you for a very long time," Ethan began, his voice soft but serious. "Do you remember a Christmas night years ago when you helped a homeless boy?" Charlotte froze, her eyes widening. She stood still for a few moments, as though a long-forgotten memory was resurfacing. "That boy was me," Ethan continued, his voice full of emotion. "You saved me with your kindness and your warm words. That night, you gave me more than just food and a scarf. You gave me hope." Charlotte brought her hand to her mouth, her eyes welling up with tears. "Ethan, I can't believe it. That was you." Ethan nodded, his gaze filled with love. He recounted every detail of that Christmas night, the limousine stopping, the little girl stepping out, and her bright eyes as she wrapped the scarf around a cold, hungry boy. "Charlotte, you don't know this, but from that moment, I made a promise to myself. One day I would find you, not just to thank you, but to show you how your kindness changed my life forever." Charlotte began to cry, her tears flowing not out of sadness, but out of joy and profound emotion. She couldn't believe that such a small act of compassion had created such a lasting impact. Ethan stood, retrieving a small box from his pocket. He knelt on one knee, his eyes never leaving hers. "Charlotte," he said, his voice steady and full of warmth, "you changed my life on that Christmas night. Now I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy. Will you marry me?" Charlotte looked at him, her eyes glistening with tears, yet radiant with happiness. She didn't need a moment to think. "Yes, I will," she said, her voice choked with emotion. then broke into a joyful laugh. Ethan smiled brightly, gently sliding the sparkling diamond ring onto her finger. They sat together on the bench, snow softly falling around them. Ethan held Charlotte's hand, his gaze filled with love. "Charlotte, I know how lucky I am to have met you. I promise to always stand by you, protect you, and build a happy life with you." Charlotte leaned her head against his shoulder, her heart overflowing with warmth and joy. "Ethan, thank you for keeping your promise from all those years ago. I never imagined that the boy I helped would one day be the man who would stay by my side forever." They looked up at the night sky, where the lights of the grand Christmas tree shone brightly. That Christmas night wasn't just the beginning of a love story. It was a testament to the power of kindness and the unbreakable bond between two souls. Chapter 6. A Warm and Happy Ending. On a bright spring morning, the clear blue skies of New York City cast a gentle glow over the cathedral where Ethan and Charlotte's wedding was taking place. The venue was adorned with white snow-like flowers and twinkling candlelight, creating a magical atmosphere. Family, friends, and their closest loved ones gathered to bless the couple. Charlotte walked down the aisle in a pristine white gown, her softly curled hair cascading over her shoulders, and a gentle smile lighting up her face. Ethan, standing at the end of the aisle, couldn't take his eyes off her. He knew this was the most beautiful moment of his life, the moment he began a new chapter with the woman who had changed his world. As they exchanged vows, the room fell silent, the only sound being the rhythm of their hearts beating as one. Ethan spoke, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Charlotte, from the moment you stepped into my life that Christmas night, you gave me hope. Today I promise to spend my life bringing you joy and happiness." Charlotte, her eyes brimming with tears, replied, "Ethan, thank you for always believing in me and standing by my side. I promise to stay with you, no matter what challenges lie ahead." After exchanging rings, they sealed their vows with a kiss amidst applause and the chiming of bells, marking the official start of their journey together. Following the wedding, Ethan and Charlotte became more than just lovers. They were true partners in every aspect of life. With Ethan's unwavering support, Charlotte reignited her passion for art and eventually opened a small gallery. Ethan, alongside managing his business, dedicated more time to community projects. Together, they established a charitable foundation aimed at helping homeless children, a cause close to both their hearts. The foundation provided shelter, food, education, and opportunities for children to develop their talents. Charlotte often hosted art exhibitions to raise funds, while Ethan managed the financial and operational aspects behind the scenes. Each year during the Christmas season, Ethan and Charlotte returned to Central Park, the place where it all started. Under the same tree from years ago, they would take time to reflect on the moments that changed their lives. One snowy evening, as they stood beneath the tree, Charlotte took Ethan's hand and smiled. "You know," she said, "if it weren't for that Christmas night, we wouldn't have this today." Ethan squeezed her hand gently, his eyes filled with love. "I've thought the same, but I believe fate would have found a way to bring you into my life, no matter what." They stood there together, watching the snow fall lightly around them, their smiles a testament to a love that had overcome every obstacle. Ethan and Charlotte's story was more than a tale of love. It was a story of kindness and the power of hope. From the little girl with a Christmas gift to the woman who became the heart of his life, Charlotte proved that even the smallest act of compassion could transform an entire life. Ethan and Charlotte continued to live a meaningful life together, sharing not only their happiness, but also bringing hope to those less fortunate, just as they had found each other on that fateful Christmas night. Thank you for joining us on this journey. How would you rate this story on a scale of 1 to 10? Your feedback means the world to us and helps us create even better content. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give this story a thumbs up, and share it with your loved ones.